Hark, what is that I hear? Did someone say championship? That is right. It is time. This week, tomorrow night, even about 24 hours from now or so. It is time for the Simulation Football League Minor League Championships. But tonight is time for episode 13 of Minor League Fights and Insights. Thanks, Daniel, for making sure that my voice is coming through. So that's good. Appreciate that. Speaking of that, we do have a group, a gaggle of fine folk here. So we have with us Derek Meerkat. Derek, how are you tonight?
I am doing fantastic as always.
Excellent, excellent. Coming to you live from the Meerkat Den. Are you drinking anything special or?
Got some bush apple.
As always, Meerkats love apples. I just got some water. Next week I'll be doing a little celebrating. All right, Johnny Reno, how are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. And Daniel, how are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. Sore, tired, but I'm hanging in there.
That's good. Good to hear that you are hanging in there. All right, good. Well, we are going to. So last night we had a big thing go on, and overtook our normal show. We moved the show over just a little bit to make way for. Let me pull that up. The Pro Bowl took place. It happened. The East ended up pulling out the victory. They went up pretty fast, 0-14, pretty early. Not really early, midway through the first half. The second half, the West started to come back, started to make it a game, but they just couldn't catch up to the East. It was a fun night. It was great seeing people in the chat, getting people excited and sort of hyped up. Derek and Johnny, you were there with me during it. Thank you guys for joining. What was that experience like for you guys?
That was my first time doing commentary. So
awesome.
I had fun.
Good. Good. Johnny, you had fun too, or?
Yeah. Okay. It was a lot of fun. It was I guess my second go around. I think I did it last season.
You did,
but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Glad
Daniel,
to be on with you guys.
Daniel, you came in just at the end, bruised and battered, but still, always able to hop in. That's great to see.
Yeah, I sneak in when I can every now and again, right? It was a good show from what I got to see. Anyway, it looked like Jordan was getting sacked a lot, so the defense really was the turning point that kept the East ahead. By the look of it.
Absolutely. It was an interesting night. It was some ups and downs. Obviously it's a game, and very little people were in control of the game itself. Not random, but just not a planned out game plan, and ultimately put it together and saw what played out on the field pretty much. So it was what it was. It was a entertaining game, sort of a scrimmage, just to have fun, get together, and maybe show off a little bit before the draft. Also tomorrow night, again, we've got the championship, so we'll be able to do that. The two teams, Albuquerque and Ottawa, will have the chance to take the field one last time before the draft the following day on Saturday. So speaking of that we can go ahead and preview that a little bit. We've got Ottawa is heading. What is it? Are they playing in? I think the Arizona stadium, if I remember right. So Ottawa and Albuquerque, even though Albuquerque will be technically the home team, they'll be playing in the stadium. They're no longer a practice field for them, but for the championship, they've got the full thing, the big stadium they'll be playing in. Again, the closest SFL Pro stadium will be the Arizona Scorpions Stadium. We've got Ottawa really coming in strong. Similarly with Albuquerque, they won their last 5 of the season to go 5-3, and then they won in the semis to be able to make it to the championship, which is a huge feat. Big kudos to the coaches over in Albuquerque for making what needed changes they needed to win these things out. Derek, are you surprised at anything with either of these teams?
I'm honestly surprised to see Ottawa there. I mean, it's not a team that I thought was going there, but they really definitely surprised me.
Yeah, Johnny, anything?
In a very good way. And I mean, kudos to them.
Yeah, Johnny, anything that surprises you at all, or anything that sort of piques your interest?
Well, I think from the beginning of the season, yes, it does surprise me. Um, but they say defense wins championships, and from the second half of the season, their defense was phenomenal. And it really doesn't matter what your record is through the season. If you can get into the playoffs, anything can happen. And I think they showed that their defense has stepped up and um, got them to where they're at. So
Cool. And Daniel, any surprise with this matchup, this pairing in the championship for you?
I think I'm surprised by both teams being in there because there's obvious favorites going into this season. We had our navigators with Squarebus. We had Massey, who was coming off a championship win, coming back for another season. There's Lincoln was actually looking very good. I think they had the best statted team going into the season because they got animations under major players. So I'm surprised by both teams. Ottawa, I mentioned this before we went on the show. I would like to point out, since we're all talking about this curse thing, I pointed out that Ottawa was a sneaky good team if their defense could keep them in it. And they did that for the majority of the game. And it's good to see them in here. I'm happy being a Canadian-born player or a person. I'm happy that a Canadian team is representing the finals here.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, in a post Douglas Brown era of Albuquerque, to see them step it up and make it into the championships, like you said, alongside other teams that were more likely or more predicted to make it to the end, to be able to have the Adams be the ones that again, going undefeated after losing the first three, is huge, right? Similarly, Ottawa, especially last year, just struggling, and it's really exciting to see, Javier Vasquez and their coaching team, likewise with Adams, like they've stepped up, they've come at it hard, and it's showing. They're proving themselves to be quite worthy to be in this stage. So kudos, like you said, congratulations to both teams making it. Again, last night we saw Cyrus Jive out on the field, played pretty well out there for the East. Let's see. Dusty Work was out there, always a big target at tight end for Ottawa. And then so we've got the quarterbacks, Terrence Pearson, Omar Bryant Jr., and then free safety TJ Frosty. Really, really great players out there in the defense. Gus Scott, Michael Knight, Isaiah King IV in there, having, correct me if I'm wrong, I know Johnny and Daniel, both of you were in the minor leagues when he was in there. Was he on the Salt Lake City and that won the championship in season 3?
Correct. This will be his second time into the championship.
Which is interesting, having retired as players so early, but to be able to, restart and have the team that you join in be able to make it and being part of that for a second time, and then potentially go through the draft again, right? That doesn't quite happen as often or as with at such small frequency or duration as him being part of the league a little over a year or so. But that's exciting. Similarly, to find, seeing the Boise Mud Dogs last season and the change that they have then made under this new, I guess not new, the reclaimed Albuquerque Adams sort of ownership or organization is really exciting to see. Baloo Scott, we talked a little bit about her previously. Really good runner, really starting to make a name for herself down here in the minor league, and hopefully will translate and things would go well this weekend for her. And actually for the majority of these players, really, it sounded like there are, if I remember right, Cameron mentioned, maybe it was in the owner's chat or somewhere, that there was 120 eligible draft eligible minor league players and like 109 spots available. So
wow,
90% or more of 95% of the minor league players will be drafted Saturday and Sunday, and perhaps Monday if it goes far enough or long enough. That's
It's
a
gonna be a ghost
crazy.
town.
What was that?
It's gonna be a ghost town. The Miners.
It could be, and I think two ways are still active for those that are
Yep.
coming into the wide receiver 5, DB6, kind of roles. And if people are going into like the quarterback 2 kind of spots, if anybody's going to take another quarterback unexpectedly, and you never know. It sounds like there's rumors that some certain teams are exploring that possibility. So we'll see that. But yeah, I'm excited about this.
We'll have to see if it's a pattern here, because last season, the team that won the Prospect Bowl also won the champion. The East team also won the championship.
So that would be Ottawa representing the East here versus Albuquerque on the West. Interesting. Yeah, and there's a lot of new players coming on too. I counted up here, and I want to say there were like 18 or 19 players on each team here listed, which is huge. And I think like 3 or 4 of them that have joined in just the last week or two as they headed into the playoffs. Some people like who was that I saw?
My guess would be Caden Poirier for defensive tackle for Ottawa would be one. Is my guess. Yeah, he looks like he's pretty copper.
Very true. Ace Singletary, I think, is new. Maybe Craig Westlake. I think he was pretty recent, but yeah, I'm excited to see them out on the field. I'm sure they're excited to see themselves out on the field as part of the championship.
Yes, Dre is also really new too.
Okay.
So
yes, YSK. I remember.
Oh, also, what I said earlier doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because I'm pretty sure 2 East teams were in the championship last year. So
you never know. That's absolutely true. I think
it was Lexington and Madison, so they're both East.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you guys expecting a blowout? Are you expecting a lot of points? Are you expecting hard defense to come out? Do you have any favorites heading into this? Daniel, don't say anything yet. No cursing yet. Just kidding. Derek, or Johnny?
As much, I don't want to count Ottawa out in this, but I think with the way Albuquerque's just been on a roll lately, if I had to pick, I would go with them. But I think this is going to be a defensive game, and I'm hoping after the Prospect Bowl yielded no turnovers, I'm hoping there's some turnovers here.
And that's one thing to point out too, that if it is close, or if a defense does keep a team out of the end zone, the one thing that could help here is the foot or the leg of Mickey Melillo. Ottawa does not have a kicker or a contract kicker, so they'd be fingers crossed, hoping that the generic makes it in versus the 50 yarders that Mickey might be able to make versus the range of like 40 to 45 for the Ottawa Cavalry. Yeah, right. It may be the Adams sort of game to lose, and the onus is on Ottawa to scout the games well and come up with find that key to unlock the win for themselves out there. Johnny, do you have any predictions or any thoughts on how this might play out?
Honestly, I think I'm going to go with what may be considered the dark horse, but I mentioned earlier, defense wins championships, and I don't think anybody would have predicted Ottawa beating San Jose. So I'm going to ride Ottawa's defense. As much as I'm a Trellis Blanton fan, and I think their offense can be explosive, if I had to pick, I think maybe the unpopular decision, but I think Ottawa wins it, to be honest.
Gotcha. And Daniel, finally to you. Tell us what your thoughts are on this game.
Derek should probably pick another team, is all I'm just going to say. I'm going to start with that one off the bat. Ottawa's a good team. Their defense is really good. Their offense is what we questioned going into the season. going on through. This is not going to be a big scoring game. Ottawa doesn't allow that to happen. It could be up to 20 points, and that's probably the most as we're going to see. So it's going to come down to kicking, and Mickey doesn't want me to curse a certain team, but I'm saying it right now. Albuquerque Adams are favorite to win. I'm going to go with them. So too bad, Mickey, you're cursed. And I'm even going to say you're not going to miss a single field goal. Have fun with that.
So you're saying he's going to go perfect because he's perfect
He's going to
so
go
far
perfect
for the season. Gotcha. That'd be great for Mickey. That would be great. I'm sure he'd be super hyped. It'd be great. I previously, it might have been week 1 or week 2. I think he was the player of the game. I wonder if he could possibly be the player of the game again in the championship. Imagine that.
It would be nice to see. And Albuquerque struggled scoring points early on in the season. And what kept them into games is the boot of Mickey. But now their offense is going, so it's going to be interesting to see how Ottawa can stop them, because Ottawa's defense is superb in comparison.
Mm-hmm. It should be a really fun one to watch. So make sure that you catch that tomorrow night on the SFL's YouTube channel. So that's exciting. All right. But we've got other things. We've got a lot of draft players or a lot of players potentially that are going to be having a draft experience, hopefully, come Saturday and Sunday that we want to be able to talk to. So I've created a little segment that we're going to go talk. We're going to jump over into, and if you're watching, feel free to jump over there too into the general voice chat over at the Minor League Fights and Insight Discord channel. If one of you wants to put an exclamation point Discord to in the chat in case anybody isn't a member there that's watching. A little segment that I've called, what do you have to say for yourself? And ultimately, it's just a time for you guys to ask some questions and have some fun. And, I want to know what are some of your favorite moments so far of the season or preseason so far? What are you excited for the draft coming up, or the championship, or season 19 in the pros if you're able to get drafted? What are you excited for? So yeah, let's do that. Let's jump on over to the general chat. Here we go. Hold on to your chairs. I don't know. Whoa. Here we go. Good afternoon. Good evening. How are you guys? Can you hear me?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, good. Hey, Nikki. How are you? I'm good.
Doing well, Axel.
That's good to hear.
Write my words, Mickey. Write my word.
Dan, not only did you curse the Adams, but you cursed my perfect season too.
Hey, we're gonna see if the curse is real now.
This is his big test, his experiment. Thanks for joining us. What were you gonna say, Mickey?
It's like you were my fan all year, and then it comes down to the championship game, and then you put the kibosh on me. I mean, come on,
man. Hey, I'm Canadian, and Ottawa's in the finals. I'm sorry, I gotta represent.
So if someone, does anybody have a question or want to share a moment with us at all?
I have a question.
Sure, T. How are you? How are you tonight first?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Doing good. Hanging in there.
Good.
I'm sore and tired, but I'm good to be here.
How's your knees?
They're bruised. They're all yellow.
Hang in there. Do it again. You'll work it out.
I'm going back next Wednesday.
Good. Don't give up. Okay, so I have like a big question. So if I get a 2-way contract, I go back to Tacoma, right?
Yes,
correct. You would go back to Tacoma.
You would not be removed, correct? Yep.
So my question is there a way that I could be the lower wide receiver to give the new incoming minor players at 1 and 2 spot? Or is it done by value? You don't have no choice.
It's usually done by value, unfortunately, because it's hard to set up in the game for each specific game to have people in certain spots. So they just go by stat value, who's first, who's second.
Okay. I just wanted to give them their shine because
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
already been there.
And
that makes sense. But I'm gonna put this out there, T. You outsigned as Tacoma as wide receiver too. The way you played almost as good or even better than St. Kaufman. So I think even though the two-way players is a thing and it's just controversy on it, people hate it, some people like it. There are still people, rookies, first years that get to showcase themselves and really represent who they are, and people get to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it right now. You're not gonna need to worry about being a two-way player, T.
Just in case,
And in talking with Cam last year about the two ways as they were being introduced, one of the reasons that they were there is to be able to like why you'd be put back in the SFLm is because you weren't getting the time to showcase your skills in the pro level because you were a lower level, like let's say wide receiver or tight end or defensive back, and so that's actually meant to have you be part of that shine and sort of front and center in the minor league to show the GMs for the next season, hey, that's get her in free agency because she's able to, they can actually see you on the field in the minors versus if you're not on the field much in the majors.
And if you don't want to be a two, I had the option, and I said I didn't. I didn't want to be a two-way player, not because I don't think it's a good idea. I just didn't want to have to worry about two different things.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of players or a lot of teams that had no two-way players at all. So I think it just depends.
I guess it depends on what they offer.
Mm-hmm. And you're welcome to negotiate some of that. So they may select you in the draft. That doesn't necessarily mean that you are at their beck and call in certain things. If that makes sense, I believe you have you could make some minor decisions like if they offer you a two-way, you could take it if you want, or you could be like Derek and say, no, you can just leave that off my contract. I just want to play for you, kind of thing. Or they may ask you, or you maybe already had some of these conversations. They may ask you to negotiate some of your value, and at that point, you could almost say, "Well, if you're going to take away some of my value, even down to like a copper, like, oh, you're taking away, 5, 6, 7 weeks of progression that I earned during my time here. I want to recoup that somehow. I want to be able to like maintain that." And that was another reason that some people took the two-way, not necessarily to play, but because they took such a pay cut in value that they could freeze their value. And come back next year and be able to unfreeze it in the next off season as well. So it's almost like banking your progressions or banking your player a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Basically, for me, the way it worked was, Ramos reached out to me. Well, he asked if I wanted to switch to free safety, and I said that was fine. And he kind of just told me what he wanted me to switch, and it was one of those points where I could have said no, I'm not okay with that. Don't draft me. But and then I asked him if I was going to be a two-way, and he said, "Would you want to be a two-way?" And that's when I said no.
Mm-hmm. And if you haven't talked to people for the draft yet, or even if you have, you may end up being talked to or reached out to during the draft itself as the dynamicness of the draft happens and as people start getting taken. Don't be surprised if you get people knocking on your door of seeing if you're interested in different offers and what you'd be interested in, especially sometimes moving positions and things, especially for certain positions that can move from one to the other, kind of like defensive lineman to offensive lineman, etc. So that is a possibility too. So don't be surprised if people come knocking on your door, eligible draftees. And but again, it's up to you. I mean, you can decline what they're offering, kind of. That doesn't mean that they can't just simply still try to draft you and figure things out after the fact, but.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to be upfront with them too, because I know before the draft happened last year, my wife was asked by a couple teams if she'd switch to offensive lineman, if she'd be okay with that, and she said no, and that kind of ended the conversation because they're not going to force someone to do it. So.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's some of the conversations that I've had with GMs and owners because, people have been knocking on the door. But I was just I was more wondering if I could step down to a lower if they offer that, because I don't mind being a two-way. I'm not going to have any animations or anything like that. So,
Mhm.
you know, that's where I stand on two ways. If you're going to play in the minors, you shouldn't have animations. You have them, but you just can't use them. But that's my opinion.
Mhm.
But I don't have a problem of two-way players because I could possibly be one.
Yeah.
But I was just wanting to step down so they can shine because, as y'all said, I did shine in the team. So I just want them to shine.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense, and it's super gracious of you, and that is something that I just know that one of the reasons why it doesn't happen is ultimately it creates a mismatch on the other side of the ball for the other team, not sure exactly who to game plan for, and there are certain plays that really highlight wide receiver 2 or 3, and if you've got a very high value player in a wide receiver 3 spot. And then on the other side, on the defense of the other team, they've got a copper player who is just brand new based on value. So it just creates mismatch and some extra work for Cam and lots of other things. So that's one of the reasons why they simply keep it as value based priority. So
Yeah, which makes sense when somebody can explain it to me because I don't know the dramatics of the game and how it's set up, and
sure.
I don't know football. And so,
Keyword
but
you forgot to say yet at the end of that.
yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I know a lot more. I mean,
Awesome.
I do know like for in the SFL that I know that a wide receiver can go to a tight end. So
Yeah, and it's like Cam was or like X was saying that a lot of times would happen if say a gold star wide receiver was number 3 wide receiver, you'd have a lot of plays where you got a gold star going up against a copper nickel back, a nickel
right.
safety or something. So
Yeah, I understand. It makes sense. But see, I needed somebody to explain it to me.
Yeah, we're here to bounce things off each other, so that's awesome.
Okay, so that was my question.
Okay.
Somebody else can go now.
All right. Who else has a question or a memory to share or a favorite, anything?
I got a couple of questions if it's all right, guys.
Go for it, Mickey.
So, Derek, just to reiterate what you were saying before, because I actually had a couple of teams reach out to me to switch from kicker to punter.
okay.
If you tell them no, then pretty much you should be taken off the draft board. So, like a team that is in need of a punter won't draft me knowing that I don't want to change. I just want to make sure I understood that correctly.
I mean, they could still draft you, but it would be pretty in poor taste after
Yeah.
you
The
told
the
them.
hop on that most owners will take your needs into account before they draft you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. But ultimately, the owners do have the ultimate decision. But you're right. I think it would be in poor taste to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
And the second, go ahead,
I,
Axel. I'm
oh, I
sorry.
was going to say that even if they do draft you and they send you a contract, so the drafting, the selection itself, is a sort of a verbal contract. Things can change, and then negotiation then sort of happens, and then the team draws up your contract. They then send it to you in the portal. You need to then accept that contract, and if you don't, then I don't know exactly. I don't know if it's like. Sadly, it's almost like shoving you up as a player out of the way because then by not signing a contract for that you were drafted for, you might be removed, like your progress might be removed or other things, which is like why would somebody do that too? So it would be like you said, very poor taste, and they would be looked down upon in the league for doing something sort of sleazy like that of forcing somebody to do something like that. So
And they would also screw themselves in the process.
yeah. Nobody wants to draft somebody. Success. Look at Baltimore. They've won now 2 championships in a row. They, I think, re-signed nearly all of their players last season, and then a lot of them this season. It's all about player retention. If you're drafting somebody into a position or to a team that they don't want to go to, or they're not going to be that happy with, or aren't going to be able to give it a good go or a shot or have a chip on their shoulder, they're going to be leaving in a season. And that's a reason that there are one season contracts as well. But there's a benefit to the recurring, building a family, building a team culture, and teams that evolve and continue to stay together have so much more success in the league than those that are constantly falling apart every season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can see that with Albuquerque. Just with me this year, we have a little nickname for ourselves. We call ourselves the Addams family, and we really, in the past few weeks, we really got together, and I've developed some great relationships with everybody on that team, from TB all the way down to our new people, Westlake and yes, Dre. I mean, everybody has been great, and I'm gonna miss them all.
Yep. We've got Reno, myself, and Daniel are part of the Grizzly gang from season 3. So,
Wait, there's working relationships? I didn't know.
Yeah,
we were all on the same team, and we just kept in touch ever since.
And
right.
Life brings us back together a little bit, as we can. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the players, your locker room will disappear, but like I say, as long as you stay in touch with those players, those relationships could do wonders in the future.
Yeah, it sounds good. I do have one more question, but it's directed primarily to Johnny.
What you got?
So, judging by the mock drafts, it looks like I'm going to be going round 1, pick 2. Now, last year you were chosen round 1, pick 2. Since you're Johnny Reno and I'm from Reno, if I wind up being a legend, are we going to have to come up with a nickname like Reno 911 or something like that?
I'm all about nicknames. Hypothetically, if okay, I'm going to go back to the mock drafts. Mock drafts are fun. They're made by players in the league typically. There were mock drafts last season that I wasn't even on anybody's list, even though I had confidence that I would be drafted. Opinions are opinions. You never know where you're going to end up. So don't invest a whole lot into the mock drafts. And I don't mean that rudely at all. I'm just, for all the players listening, don't invest a whole lot into it. They're just for fun. But going back to your question, if hypothetically, if that happens, if you would like a nickname, we could discuss that, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking about it. I was joking around. I know Johnny and we talk in the DMs all the time, and the whole Reno connection. Yeah, we might be the biggest little score makers in the SFL.
That's pretty funny.
Very true.
Well,
Yeah,
Daniel
I remember.
and I already have a nickname.
Which one? Are we Team D&D or are we Double Ds? We got 2 technically.
the pair of safeties in the backfield there. Yeah, Double Ds.
Yeah, no. Everyone loves a pair of Double Ds on the field, right? Am I right, guys?
We totally jumped into the After Dark segment real quick.
And I would ask Dan a question, but I'm not happy with him right now. So Dan, I'm sorry, you're not my biggest fan right now.
It's okay, Mickey. After the championship's over, we'll find a way to get through, I'm sure.
you got it.
To hop on what Axel was saying earlier about those 1 season contracts too. If there's going to be people that get drafted to teams that they don't enjoy being on, but it's important to try to stick it out and just try to make friends with the people in the locker room that you do get along with, because connections are key in the SFL.
Mm-hmm. And Cam told me last season, and I think being drafted, ultimately the team has 4, 5, 6 months until the next off season, the re-signing period, to prove to you why they're the team for you. And if they don't do it, then you're free to leave at the end of that. But go into it, like you said, open-minded and hopeful and open to the possibilities. That's really important.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thank you for the time, and I look forward to talking to you guys again at some point.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions? Any favorite moments? Anything you're looking forward to?
No, my wife showed up.
Oh.
Is that your favorite moment of the year?
You're in the doghouse now, there, buddy.
Good evening, Angela. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. And yourself, Axel?
Doing good, doing good.
Good.
So I'm curious for you, Angela. I have a question for you. Does Derek have like a lifetime supply down in the meerkat cave or den of this bushlight apple?
We only have one case right now, which my
Okay.
brother
Right
got
now.
for us.
For now.
Right now. But I gotta do a liquor store run this weekend, so we'll see if there's more at the liquor store this weekend.
Awesome. I might have to make a trip and get some myself to try it out.
It
It's
is pretty
amazing.
delicious.
We've got Ron Haynes and Young Votten here as well. Wondering, do either of you have any questions or anything you'd like to share?
Hello, this is Ron.
Hey, Ron, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good.
Good to hear.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Happy to give you the platform to speak.
So I have a question, and this is about the league in general, SFL. Being a rookie this year and joining at an interesting time with the SFL expanding, to 4 teams, partnering with Next Level Esports or Next Level Sports and ESTV and all. And I remember seeing chats when the teams were expanding and people were putting out bids to be the coaches for these expansion teams, and I think there was some cost involved in that. And I also seen some comments out there where teams were actually offering to pay members of their team to participate. Either I can't remember if it was for scouting or stats.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is kind of a 2-part question. When it talks about revenue generation and all that, I wanted to know first off, does any of that kind of trickle down to the team owners or to the teams in general in some way? And I guess the second part of the question is, do the teams pay for scouting, for stats or media people on their team?
Sure. So yeah, they're with expansion teams, as if you're selected, there is a buy-in kind of thing, a fee. And for this time, it changes based on the need and how the league's been growing. I think a few seasons ago, when Portland and San Diego came in as expansion teams or took over teams, I think their expansion fee might have been maybe $250 or $300. But since then, the league has grown a lot, so the value of the teams themselves has grown, and the buy-in for this last one was $500. So myself being a co-owner, BJ and I are 50% owners. We went 50% in on that, so we had to pay $250 each to be since we were selected. Again, it was first you had to be selected, and then you had to be you had to be okay with paying that fee. So we're already out that money. Plus, there's traditionally for the pro fees, there's I think it's $5 a month or what is it, $60 a year for your subscription. For owners, it's like triple that. For a 50% owner, for a full owner, it would be 6 times that. So there's extra costs involved to owning a team. As far as I'm aware, and it may have changed, from a few seasons ago or many seasons ago. I don't think there are any league money that gets then trickled down to the ownership at all. But the owners do own their team and their team brand, and the league then signs a contract with the team to use that brand, so it's like a joint partnership between the team having their team brand and the league having the league brand, and them partnering to be work together to create what the SFL is. But so that means that the merchandise, like the Gets or Stomp Indie Legend merchandise and things, those are things that we've designed and created, spent some money on to create a store. The residuals from the store, these sales do go to us to help then. We've been putting it into like a team pool and keeping track of our financials and things as a team, so then we can then reinvest in the team. We've spent some money on these illustrations that like Johnny Reno has one. We commissioned some illustrators to do that, a variety of things. So we're spending money, but also trying to recoup some of it as well with some of the merchandise and residuals in that way. So that's it. You don't get into this it's not a money making thing. It's it's a thing of passion where we're actually funding this a lot of times. Teams do have the opportunity to seek out, much like how Canton is sort of associated with the NFL Football Hall of Fame kind of thing. I've had some conversations about partnerships and sponsorships for our team as well in Minnesota. And there could be, some of them may have money involved, either way. It could be I'm paying somebody to have them send out or be associated with us. They could pay us to, as we're, to be the official beer of the Minnesota Legend is so-and-so, and we're cross-pollinating for marketing, ultimately to get our names out there and things. So, I mean, that's some things, but again, it's all at the team level. And then with regard to like paying individuals for stats or scouting, I know there is a huge rule that teams cannot pay for or look or even look like they're paying for another member or a player's subscription. That is a big no-no. If it looks like it, you're going to be, fined, you're going to be taken off, you're going to lose your team kind of thing. So that's something we can't do. So I think most of the time when you might have seen, like, I think Jeremy Vega, the owner of Denver, may have put out some things looking for stats people or looking for scouting, and they're looking for members of the league that are not on their team. Because if you do something like that and pay someone on your team, I think it's like it looks bad, something like that. So there are people that so there's a requirement. Teams have to, as part of their agreement with the league, need to supply a stats person for 6 games, a minimum of 6 games, to do stats for them. Some teams have a plethora, a couple people. I think it's LA Lycans. They, Rochelle Colston. She's really heavily involved. Same with Fort Worth. They've got Stephen Hacker. He's really involved with the stats and things. So they're already doing that. They meet that requirement really easily. There are other teams that their players aren't interested in doing that. They've got jobs. They're busy. They can't do it, and so sometimes they're struggling to meet that requirement. And so they've seeked other people. And Shane Kaufman is a great example. The last season, before he was at St. Louis, he was contracted kind of by Queen City. I don't think money was exchanged at all, but he was, as a minor league player, able to join their locker room and did stats for them as a minor league player during the SFLm off season. It was a nice way to get meet people and network and get some of that pro experience before being drafted. And then I think similarly with scouting, it's not typical that people would be paying for it, because usually these are either stepping stones to higher positions, or they are more volunteer based. But if people are in dire need, they might be offering $5 or $10 to stat a game for you. So again, that's an hour and a half. It's not a money making thing, but it's something to chip in for your effort kind of thing. So $10 for an hour and a half, close to 2 hours of work. You're not making bank at all, but it's trying to be an incentive, incentivize some of that. And then again with scouting, that I haven't seen that quite as much being offered money to do. But again, that should probably be, because normally you try to bring people up in your organization, and by scouting either your team or the upcoming opponent's team, you're also looking at and seeing, understanding the playbook or the plays, the schemes that the other team is trying to make or use, and then the schemes that your team is using, and having some of that information in someone else's hands that could easily leave and go to another team might not be in your best interest either. So I hope that helps. A lot of information, I know, but
what you're saying is I'm not going to get paid.
I was just about to say, Axel, show me the money.
No, that's great. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Long-winded answer for some simple questions, but yeah, I hope that does help.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, and Amar Bryant, in your thing, that larger expansion fee is just a one-time fee. if you also needed to do branding, I'm a designer myself, so I designed our logo and other things, or else these teams would have to go and pay for it, and that could be hundreds of dollars to have a professional designer do that for you. And so it's a lot of a thing of passion that people are putting forth a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's not a get rich quick scheme or anything. So
Okay, Glenn. Well, thank you very much.
yeah, you bet. Any other questions? Any exciting things that you're feeling, or anything you're hopeful for next season? Anybody?
No, we're just gonna wait and let you be quiet, and Oh, Cam showed up in show, guys. Do you want to bring him up?
Oh yeah. We'll move him up over here. All right. Hey Cam, how are you tonight?
Hey, good evening.
Good evening to you. We actually I just got done chatting a little bit with Ron Haynes. He'd asked a couple questions, and maybe you could answer this a little bit better too. I'd shared that there's like the 6-game requirement for stats, and he had asked a question around like he had seen someone, maybe an owner or other teams, paying for stats or other things. Is that common? What is that like? And does that even do teams look for and or pay for people to scout? What is that sort of situation like? And I shared something that the idea that like owners cannot be paying for subscriptions, and anything that sort of looks like that, maybe like paying for scouting or other things, might be crossing the line, or the look appearance of that. I don't know. Anyways, I'll let you. Does that help? Does that make sense? Sorry.
Yeah, Axel, that does make sense. There's for teams paying their own players, there's 5 exempt staff positions, right? So if you're the director of communications, you can get paid by a team. Now that's up to the team. So the teams can do whatever they want with that. Now, outside of those 5 exempt spots, if they're paying somebody from another team to help cover their stats, or, and there's they need to look outside of their locker room, right, to handle that accomplishment. Again, that's up to the team, and they're able to to do what they need to do to make that happen. So all I ask is that when teams enter into some sort of payment agreement with someone, that they let me know, so that I can put an official contract together that holds the team accountable for what they say they're going to do, that holds the other person accountable for the services they're going to provide, and so that's how it's all supposed to work. If teams don't do that, and then there's a party that's upset about something, there's not much I can do about it, because I never knew about it. So that's kind of how the protocol works for that stuff.
Awesome. I appreciate you putting that together. The idea of a contract makes a lot of sense. So and having that visibility to those that can make sure that both parties are doing their diligence for what they signed on the dot for.
So what you're saying, Cam, is as director of communications, Axel can pay me.
Yes, but that is Axel's decision, not mine.
I will pay you in Busch Light Apple.
Sounds good.
Cool. And yeah, I had one of the things that Ron talked about, or one that it asked, is the idea of obviously there were expansion fees, and I explained like the 500 for this last expansion, and it's not a get rich quick kind of scheme. That there's a lot of money and a ton of time as owners poured into our new teams doing this, and whether that's new or old, there's a lot of time and energy and funds put into these teams, and I wasn't sure if this was historically or something, anything about like ultimately the team itself is sort of like under our ownership kind of thing, and we can market our logos and market do things for our team itself, and the league does its own thing upon the league and can use our stuff as well as to promote the league and things. But there's no like, oh, there's extra money coming in for the league. There's no like is it shares or something that drops down to ownership, right?
Yeah, ultimately the league wants all of its teams to be profitable, If the teams are profitable, that raises the value of the franchises. In turn, it raises the value of owning a team in the league if they're profitable. So when the league gets to a point where it has, revenue that can be shared, it'll share it. Or it's our desire to share it. Obviously, our investors who came in 2019, they have elected not to be paid back. It's a smart decision. The league is financially in decent shape, but we don't. If something were to happen where we had to cancel a season, we don't have enough to subsidize any kind of massive. We're going to lose 6 months of revenue, right? So we're your typical American paycheck to paycheck type of organization, and we just do enough to keep things moving. So teams are looking at it as, well, I guess it kind of depends on the owner, Axel. I mean, some look at it as an investment long term that can make money. Others don't really care what happens to, the bottom line. They're just having fun and having a good time. And at the end of the day, you can really look at it one of two ways, because the amount of entertainment dollar that you're getting as an owner, running your team, watching all your games, kind of having that umbrella of all the social media and all the videos and just all the things that you can do with it, uniforms, apparel, all that stuff. There's a different lore that that every team kind of falls under. But the SFL's primary goal is to be profitable, and for its teams to be profitable, that only increases the value of owning a team in the SFL.
Yeah, like you were saying, it's sort of some people are in it for the intangibles, the community that they're then building, and can create the culture and the fun of competition with your peers around the league, and all those things. And then for me, I feel like I enjoy, like, I'm able to design these different merchandise because I can do that. It's fun to be able to put yourself out there and build up some of these rivalries and have fun doing it. And if you can recoup a little bit of the money that you're spending to help then put towards a team fund, so that you continue to invest in your own team, much like you're just talking about having investors and fully and I know with all the different business ventures and other things and agreements and network thing that you've done with TV and Next Level and all these things, it's like investing in the league and just reinvesting any profits you get goes back into like continuing to I think you'd gotten like a generator and other things, like these things that just continue to make the league bigger, better, stronger foundation, less risky, and just sort of start to hedging your bets and things. Looking for me as an owner, doing that same type of thing, building up a strong foundation that we can build a legacy of an awesome franchise.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Axel, because the league definitely would have been profitable if it would have never invested back in itself. But then in turn, it probably wouldn't have been profitable because it wouldn't have been what it has become today, right?
Yeah.
So it's all sort of cyclical. The Las Vegas convention, for example, conventions don't make money, but what they do is they bring our community together, and it makes us stronger. And so when I look at the Vegas convention and I see what Next Level Sports is pouring into, I mean, they're sending staff across the country. They're sending camera crews. And that stuff isn't cheap to transport, right? I mean, you gotta do the staff and the equipment and the time and the efforts, all the meetings, all of the intangibles of everything. And there's a lot of people that believe in the community. Subway's not going to get excited about 100 people showing up at a convention. That's that's where you can start to make money, when vendors show up because they see the potential of getting in front of an audience. We're still too small for that. So it's all about the belief in the product and the partners that we have, and saying, look, we really want to invest in this and give it a chance, right? Give it a chance to succeed. And we can all, sort of pool our strengths together to make that happen. So that is a very good point. I'm sure the teams have done that multiple times over as well. as they build up their organization. So
Mhm.
it's not all about, hey, look at all this money we have in the bank. Now we all get to, buy Ferraris and go on. Like nobody's, it all goes back into how can we improve the SFL and make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming in pre-portal days to the portal, that itself was a huge, leap forward into, decreasing the manual transactions and manual work that was going into all the stuff that then frees up time of Rastelli and Marcus and yourself to be able to do even more, expand your reach and do more ideation and do more creative things to, again, help to bring the community together and explore these potential huge opportunities.
For sure.
Cool. Any other questions we have for Cam before I want to be able to finish up in about 5 minutes or so? Make sure that we're off for Eddie to will be starting his show soon. Any questions in the last couple minutes?
I'll shoot one out for Cam. Can you explain to rookies a bit more about the green room, stuff like that, about the draft experience that's about to come up for them?
Yeah, so on draft day, good question, Daniel. On draft day, you'll receive a Google Meet link. You can join that through your computer webcam or your phone camera, and it's an opportunity. The tab is muted, so I don't hear any of your volume. It's an opportunity for rookies to get a chance to get to know each other, see each other probably for the first time, say hello, right, and kind of enjoy in the that sort of draft anticipation together. And then when your name is called and you have an opportunity to kind of, this is your moment, right? It's your moment in the sun. Most people only get it once, and so it's your chance to celebrate how you want to celebrate. And we put we put that video feed on our broadcast so that our our analysts and our hosts can, see the excitement, see the energy with what you have going on. So that green room is available through Google Meet. The link will be posted in SFLm General for anybody to join. And I recommend joining shortly before the draft. Once the draft gets going, I have a pick every 4 minutes, and I may miss your you're trying to get in. So please try to get in before the draft begins, and if not, I'll do my best to sneak over there and see if I can't let you in. So that's the opportunities. All the front office people of teams will also have opportunities to be on camera. It's always great to see what teams are doing with war rooms. I know that all of Houston is doing it all in one location. All of their front office, because they're all local, are all going to be together on draft day, and I'm sure that there's other teams that are going to step their game up too with what's going on in the front office green rooms too.
How sad are you that Mike All won't be participating in the draft this season?
Oh, but he will, because he will
will
be
he?
an analyst on the
Excellent.
first night.
Excellent.
So
That is great to hear.
so we will get to see. I mean, he's going to have to figure out how to change rooms somehow without us noticing while he's in his little box there. But no, the draft will not be without Mike All. He will be around to break down the first 2 rounds for us.
That is awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, and thinking back to when myself, Daniel, and myself and Daniel were drafted, sitting in the green room, it was great being able to meet like Miles Gibson and talk with the people that you've played against. We didn't have the show like this, so we couldn't hear or talk really, to other people. So it was our opportunity to like, hey, first time being able to see and talk with people, Robert Crone and all these different people. So I really suggest doing that. It's a great way to be excited, and that shared energy just gets you all extra ramped up. So please take advantage of it. So cool. Well, with that, then that's Cam. Do you have any final words? Anything you'd like to say before we go?
Sounds good. I do not. Had a meeting today with NXT people. It re-inspired me to get moving and get re-energized about the season. The league just redesigned its teams page on the website. So go check that out because it's got all the team information, some cool new helmets of all the teams in the league, and
Sweet.
it looks pretty good if I do say so myself. But it was a great show, great prospect bowl. Squarebush doing his thing. Finally, we'll stop haunting SFLm and we'll get to see what he can do full time in Louisiana.
Absolutely cool. Thank you so much, Cam, for joining us.
Thanks, Axel.
Yep. Derek, do you have any final words at all before we head out?
No, I'll just push what Cam said. Get in that green room. And show up early, not just because he can let you in, but show up early because it gives you a fun time to talk to people and get to know people that you're getting drafted with.
Absolutely. And Johnny, any final words from you?
No, same exact thing. Speaking of the green room, I think that was the very first time that I had the opportunity to see and chat with Derek and Angela. So even though I was in there for a very short amount of time, it's amazing, the people that come in and they're all there for the same reason. So yeah, if you have the opportunity, join. It's fun.
Yeah. Even if you're not even like, I probably won't get drafted. Daniel, you were not expecting to get drafted where you were, and it's the draft. It can anything can happen. So be prepared. Come in. Tell us a little bit. Any last words for you?
Yeah, I actually went in the green room just to cheer on other people because I know Axel. I was in his DMs all weekend about will I get drafted, will I not get drafted. Almost like you did, Derek, with me. It's funny how that works. The circle goes. But the green room was a wonderful time. I'm still friends with people I met in the green room, like Miles Gibson. You said we met him in the green room the very first time. And I was friends with him in Tulsa, and we talk regularly as we do right now. So it's a great time, great opportunity, and a great way just to continue mingling with the community.
And I also like to say that before I started doing this show here, I did not want to be on camera for anything, and I did it. I did the green room thing, and now I don't mind it.
It gets easier. It's exposure therapy. The more you do it,
Yeah.
and you try it once, you're super nervous. I hate being on camera. I'm not a big fan of it myself. I'm a introvert. I feel like I'm juggling putting on a show for everybody for an hour every day. Yeah. So I feel social anxiety. It comes and goes, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. The having good friends, good people around you, it's fun. You can't beat that. So cool. Well, thank you all for joining us. It was a great show. Appreciate you all coming out. And then make sure you go check out Eddie Gage's Twitch channel for Say It With Your Chest in right now. So all right, without ado, see you guys later. Have a good championship tomorrow, and see you at the draft. Good night.
See you later, guys.
Bye.